Back here on Around the Premier League, but it's around the footballing world this time because we're going to touch on one of our favourites here, Luis Suarez. So he, over the weekend, broke another record for himself, and that was surpassing 300 goals in his career. 36 goals now in 58 appearances for Barcelona. Taking everything into account, the biting scandal coming in, missing a large part of the season. He has been phenomenal, and this poses a couple of questions. Is he the reason why Barcelona, as The Guardian puts it, are slightly more frightening without Lionel Messi at the moment? And is he in clear contention for the Ballon d'Or next year? And I think on both situations there's a good argument to be made. So The Guardian posted a great article, Jordi, and they talked about how without Lionel Messi it frees up a little bit more room to see the Luis Suarez of Liverpool. The Luis Suarez that can drop deep a little bit more and pick up possession, but then also be devastating with his dynamic runs in behind and that finishing ability that we all know and love. So just in one of the broadest questions, is Luis Suarez is he the deadliest striker in the world at the moment? And is he one of the most deadliest strikers in Barcelona's history, do you think?
Yeah, well, for me, the top three strikers in the world, like out-and-out strikers, obviously we're not including Ronaldo and Messi, who are just kind of amazing players who kind of play anywhere the hell they want. Lewandowski, Aguero, and Luis Suarez. And hand on heart, if I had to say which one of those, if I could only have one, who would it be? It would be Luis Suarez, because I just think he's the complete striker. He has literally everything. He's indestructible. He's an absolute beast. And I think, to be honest with you, if it was Luis Suarez versus Messi or Luis Suarez versus Ronaldo, say Luis Suarez went to Barcelona and Messi hadn't been there, never existed, and it was him versus Ronaldo, I think he would hold his fucking own big time. I think because of Messi being in the team, it's a different equation altogether. You've got more passes to make. It's not as direct as the Luis Suarez style. Luis Suarez is so direct compared to Messi. I think we would see a different, not necessarily better, but I think it would be more Suarez glory moments, more goals for Suarez. It would be more built around him. Therefore, he'd score more goals, and he would be directly compared to Ronaldo a lot more so than what maybe he is, because right now it is sort of the Messi and Ronaldo show.
Yeah. He's just kind of been born into the wrong generation. It seems like with all the talent he has and nearly carrying Liverpool basically individually to success, and then going to Barcelona and coming back from adversity that he faced, it seems like he's just in an unlucky time, because you're right, you're bang on there, mate. Without Messi and Ronaldo continuing to set alight every single league they play in with goals galore, Luis Suarez would absolutely be in contention every year for the Ballon d'Or. But with Messi out this year, despite the fact that it might have mixed things up in his team, and they could still do with Messi, don't get me wrong. They're doing a phenomenal job without him, but they could still do with him. It could actually play into his own individual prospect of becoming Ballon d'Or winner, because at the moment, I think that with Ronaldo performing very well, don't get me wrong, Ronaldo is playing phenomenally well. Luis Suarez is right there on par with him, playing so well for Barcelona. I think it's got to come down to which team has success at this point, because, I don't imagine that the deciding vote will come down to how Luis Suarez performed without Messi, because Messi missing a majority of the part of the season, he's already on the back foot for Ballon d'Or contention, I think. It would not surprise me if he came back, set alight the league.
If anyone could do it, it would be him, to be fair.
Exactly. If anyone could do it.
I've got a question for you about this then, mate. In your opinion, with the way Ronaldo's new style is, we all remember the old Ronaldo who would pick the ball up 40 yards out for Man United, run past three players and then stick it in the back of the net. Now he obviously plays a lot further forward and he's much more of an out-and-out finisher. I think Ronaldo now is more of an out-and-out finisher than Suarez is. I think Suarez plays deeper than Ronaldo. I think he has more of an impact throughout the midfield. Do you think it's fair to say that Suarez has more of an impact on the Barcelona team without Messi, obviously the way it is now, than what Ronaldo necessarily does with Real Madrid?
I think that's a great question. And I think it's a hard question to answer, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think that it's evident how much Suarez is to Barcelona because Messi's not there at the moment. So that's why I think that he is more effective with Barcelona than Ronaldo is with Real Madrid, because Real Madrid are performing so well. I think under Benitez, you have to give Benitez credit because they look a lot stronger at the back. And it does, in games where they would have to claw out maybe a 3-2 or a 4-3 or even like a high-scoring game last season, Ronaldo would shine through there because their attacking ability would show through as one of their most deadliest, I would say, assets, and they still have that. But this year, at the moment, what I'm seeing from Real Madrid and a lot of pundits, what I've read, is that they're seeing how good they are at the back. So it's maybe taking a little light away from how much Ronaldo's impacting the game. Whereas when you look at Barcelona, they almost haven't even changed their style that much without Messi. They've stuck to the very similar formation, but they're relying on Suarez a lot more. And Neymar, trust me, it's not just all Suarez. Neymar bagged his 34th calendar goal as well. So he's
the next big thing.
Yeah, he's playing phenomenally as well. But I just think
he's the prince.
Yeah, he is. He's coming into his own, and he himself is even thriving a little bit more without Messi as well, because as much as the three of them will be deadly together, the Barcelona, you watch them play, there's a lot more direct passes that are going straight to Neymar and finding him with 10, 15 yards space, rather than going into Messi, who would become the funnel, and then he would direct it wide, either into Suarez's feet or into Neymar, and by that point, he might have a little bit more work to do because defenders could step onto them. But at the moment, you watch Rakitic, his first option is to get it out wide left to Neymar, who's still sticking to that role, but gets it a little bit earlier. But as you mentioned, Suarez dropping deeper. And one thing that I don't think Suarez gets enough credit for, he is a strong motherfucker, man. He holds off so many players, such a low center of gravity, and he's rugged, man. He doesn't allow that ball to get away from him. Even if his touch isn't the best, he gets there before the defender and he puts his body in place, and he's cut out all the bullshit from his game. You don't see him complaining. You don't see him getting in amongst the defender's face. You don't see him diving. You just see him getting the job done. And that is one of the main things that I think stands out for Suarez. And
the pressure he puts on a back four
is
exactly. An absolute bloody nightmare.
Well, you imagine seeing that face.
Hell of a time playing.
You imagine seeing that face coming towards you, frothing at the mouth, trying to close the ball down.
But he doesn't give you a second, does he? All this ball playing centre back shite would not wash with him at all. He's all over you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think we're both into that, the realm of just answering our own question through our analysis here, is that he definitely is in strong contention for the Ballon d'Or. But would you say it's a fair assumption, to think that it's going to be the team who has the most success this year that defines who wins the Ballon d'Or?
I think, unfortunately, obviously Messi will come back into the team, and then that's going to impact, Suarez's end product in terms of goals, because then it'll be split once again, and it's, they tend to share things out, and even the way they pass the ball to one another, it slows down in terms of, you have Messi who sits in the middle and he'll direct play and it'll come back to him. It's not as direct, in my opinion. So I don't think he's going to hit the goal tally Ronaldo will. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are just going to look at it on a piece of paper and say, Ronaldo scored this, that was more than them, Ronaldo gets the golden ball, And I think even if Suarez does win the Champions League, unless he has an epic moment where he scores a hat-trick in the final or something like that, I just say Ronaldo just getting more goals and he'll probably edge it.
Yeah, and that's as evident as it was last season. You get, as much as Real Madrid didn't win the Champions League, the Ballon d'Or was announced before it, I understand that, but Ronaldo didn't have as much of an impact on the World Cup as someone like Manuel Neuer did. But even Neuer being the third of that trifecta in for the Ballon d'Or running, he won the World Cup with Germany. He had a phenomenal season with Bayern Munich, but he was never really in contention, was he? Despite those accolades, it doesn't always come down to whether or not the team has success. So you're right on that.
Popularity is part of it as well. Ronaldo's got a movie coming out. I'm sure it'll all sync up nicely. The planets will align, and it'll smash it at the box office.
So I guess we'll go back to the last question, because I have my own thoughts on this. But do you think that if Suarez continues with this form, that he can be considered as one of Barcelona's most deadliest strikers? Because Barcelona historically have had some phenomenal strikers. I mean, standing out through our generation, of course, you look at just recent times, Thierry Henry had a great spell at Barcelona. Patrick Kluivert was phenomenal at Barcelona. The original Ronaldo had his time at Barcelona when he was great. Samuel Eto'o even was in his prime. Henrik Larsson helped them win a Champions League. We know how good he was. So those are just a few. But of course, going back further, they've had phenomenal strikers. They've been known to have powerhouses up top. What do you think? If he continues along this road, do you think he can be considered, and even may be considered already, as one of the most deadliest strikers?
I think he's not just one of the greatest Barcelona strikers ever. I've got him down as one of the best strikers of all time. If you look at the Premier League, and this really speaks volumes to me, because if you ask his hand on heart, who are the two best strikers I've ever seen in the Premier League, outside of Alan Shearer, because that's sort of, that's religious, it would probably be Van Nistelrooy and Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
Really, you were just terrified of them. They were horrible to play against. But in actual fact, and they played for better teams than Suarez played for Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly.
Without doubt. I mean, that Man United team and that Arsenal team, way better. But Suarez recorded more Premier League goals in a single season than both of those two.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
To me, that speaks volumes.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, and it's nice to see him recognised for the football at this point. You know what I mean? Because we know his history, we know his past. I'm not saying it's never gonna come up again, but from all I can take is what I've seen since he returned, and I've rarely seen him get into any sort of off the field antics. It's almost as if he's been sat down and someone's got him doing the whole woosah thing, where he's just understanding that he is.
There was a goal he scored recently, mate. It was against Rayo. And he's making a run into the box, and he just points. The cross is coming in, and he points to his mate, and he says, "You run the opposite way I'm running." The ball comes in, and he finishes it at the back post. The defenders were dragged out the way. It was like he was a director and an actor at the same time. It was like I was like, "How did you?" That was unbelievable. Like, I hope he continues personally, mate. It's fantastic watching it.
Yeah, and I think that's the last point to touch on, is that another thing aside from his strength, he maybe if he does get the accolades with the goals, he creates so much space. So much space. Even when Messi is performing. I think if you take Messi away from Suarez, and this is a bold statement, I want to have people comment on this.
I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm ready with this, right? Do you take Messi away from Suarez, Suarez thrives, right? But the way those two were playing last season, you take Suarez away from Messi, I don't think Messi has as much success, because Suarez was so mobile up top. If you watch that unbelievable goal where Messi came from wide right and destroyed several players, I think it was against Getafe, we had 5 or 6 players he beat. The very first moment that Messi got that ball, he had an open look to run into space. Why? Because Luis Suarez took all defenders that were trying to kind of close down the space out into the left-hand side of the park, because his movement is so convincing. He might not get the ball ever, but he's convinced. Like, he'll burst his ass 100% into the corner.
He knows he's not getting this ball.
Yeah, exactly.
You think it's fucking coming to him.
Yeah, because the defenders are like, oh shit.
Because he is so strong and fast.
Yeah.
I think Luis Suarez can play any role along the front line. He can play out wide. He can play as a number 10. He can play as a striker, because he's physically so gifted and technically gifted. Whereas I think, although Messi is unbelievably talented, and he is the greatest player I've ever seen, don't get us wrong, I think Suarez is gifted physically more so than Messi in terms of strength and maybe pace.
Yeah, and on that, like, it's a bold statement I was stating, but I must go back and say that that's with this front three combination. Like, Messi, without Suarez and Neymar when he was in his prime, could still do it all on his own. Don't get me wrong, he's amazing. But within that dynamic, the way that they worked well together, Suarez helped free up so much space for Messi and so many gaps for him to drive through. So that's where that comes from.
Can I just have a disclaimer along the bottom that Francis Maxwell said that and I did not say that, before anyone gets us on that at a later date. All right. Cheers.
All right, the Messi fanboys will set a like in the comment section. Make sure to leave all comments. What do you think? Do you think Suarez is on the road to glory? And by glory, he'll get his chops around the Ballon d'Or trophy. We'll see if he continues along this form. Will he be considered one of the best Barcelona strikers ever? Check out the True Jolties channel, and his gaming channel just surpassed 100k subs. You've got to check out that gaming channel. It's catching up to his main channel. So he must be doing something right over there, and it revolves around him screaming at the TV whilst playing FIFA. It's entertainment at its best.